So I do like that, but I think the broader point you raise is just that I like narrative storytelling. So I think ideas are where it's at. When you write a book, that's the real value. But I think that for an idea to come alive in the mind of a reader, it needs to be, or I shouldn't say it needs to be, but from my perspective, it is good to embed that idea in a narrative. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that really is a big difference between, let's say, Freakonomics and many other popular science books, where they'll get right into the science and they'll forget to tell a story. And this works too with entrepreneurship. There's many examples where if you tell a story around your product, that's going to do much better. Like Zappos, for instance, has this, and you mentioned this in Think Like a Freak, has this incredible story around their customer service and how they treat their employees and how they treat their customers, and that's helped build the Zappos brand.
Yeah, I do think that kind of that secret is out now, which I think is great, like the power of storytelling, and we actually do talk about that, the power of storytelling, and Think Like a Freak as well. And, you have to be careful. Look, not all stories are true, and it's easy to deceive people with a good story. The best writing, people are always asking about how you learn writing and how much can be learned and blah, 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 and I could go on for months about that, which I won't. So I've been writing since I was a kid, basically. My dad was a newspaperman, and in my family, everybody kind of wrote something all the time. We even had this little family newspaper. So I'd finished my first year of graduate school, and it was okay, but I didn't think I was going to come back for my second because it was really expensive, and I didn't know if it was really working for me. But I had this opportunity to apply for a teaching fellowship at Columbia. And if I got it, I would teach one course of freshman comp, and I would get a total free tuition plus a stipend. So it was an amazing financial deal. So I kind of put everything I had into applying for that fellowship. And I ended up getting it, and I was over the moon because it meant, I could stay in school and not go deep, deep, deep into debt. What I didn't realize was that teaching that class would actually be the best experience for me as a writer that I would ever have. And the reason why is this was a course that had been at Columbia for many, many, many years. I think it's gone now. I think we got rid of it. I think it was considered, I think the students and the parents thought it was like too much work and too hard or something, although I'm not sure on that. But it was a course called Logic and Rhetoric, and it was standard freshman comp, part of the core curriculum at Columbia. And what was great about it is it treated writing in this very old Greek model that any time you want to communicate, whether it's writing, a speech, whatever, there are these two pillars that are not necessarily equal but incredibly important. The logic is all the facts, all the pieces of the argument that add up to what you're trying to articulate. And there's the rhetoric, which is how you tell the story, who's telling the story, the pace, the tension, the timing, and so on. And in my view, I really came to believe then that in order for a piece of writing to be successful, you have to be really good at both the logic and the rhetoric. So there are a lot of brilliant people in academia and elsewhere whose logic is maybe perfect, but whose rhetoric, for whatever reason, doesn't connect. Then there are a lot of people who have fantastic rhetoric. They live on TV, and they go on and on and on and on with these stories and opinions, but their logic is not very defensible. And so to me, that's the very basic model that I think any writer should try to follow to some degree, but I would say it goes beyond writing. I think it goes into entrepreneurship, it goes into business, it goes into politics. Politics is to me the place where, the rhetoric to logic ratio is probably the largest, unfortunately. But that was to me kind of the light bulb going off, and ever since then I've been just trying to execute that idea.